Let's call this a modern fairy tale.
What could possibly go wrong?
They have proven themselves to be liars.
Why are they talking about race?
How you don't have your daddy at your wedding?
I want to be near them. I want to be a part of their life.
What you're doing to your father's not right.
She wanted her privacy invaded.
There were women who worked for her who were absolutely broken by her.
Just by existing, we were upsetting the dynamic of the hierarchy.
He has become a traitor.
Who are their friends now?
The fairy tale has fractured.
They would change the world.
The wedding of the century. You ready?
Ooh.
This is likely the last glimpse of the royal couple together before they walk down the aisle at St. George's Chapel in Windsor.
And the wedding is finally here. So many people were speculating that they might not make it to the altar. So 10 million people ended up tuning in to watch Harry and Meghan's wedding, which was a lot less than the 17.6 million that watched Kate and William get married, and nothing compared to the 28 million that watched Princess Diana get married to Prince Charles.
Meghan Markle will be the first American to marry into the royal family since Wallis Simpson famously wed King Edward VIII, forcing his abdication from the throne.
You must believe me when I tell you that I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility without the help and support of the woman I love.
Wedding day. Meghan's very excited. She wanted a mimosa. All she wanted to listen to was Going to the Chapel. Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married. Going to the chapel of love.
There was an expectation, right? Diana's boy.
Just in case any of you had forgotten, he's Diana's boy. You remember her? She was slightly more likeable.
There was an expectation to have a public wedding. It was like mission complete with William.
That sounded a bit disdainful.
Mission complete with William. Dickhead.
Now, let's see if this goes the distance with Harry, and then we can literally go, job done.
What an ungrateful bastard.
Job done. £38 million wedding. Thanks for nothing.
Welcome to Windsor for the fucking royal wedding. St. George's Chapel is looking sensational today, and it appears England's one day of summer has arrived early. Bloody beautiful. Of course, with all these Sheilas wearing fancy hats, I pretty much feel like I'm watching the Melbourne Cup.
It is a glorious spring morning, and literally thousands have gathered for the royal wedding. People are still filing inside the Abbey to watch the Prince and Princess of Canada exchange their vows.
Inside, there's fuck all happening. George Clooney is on the piss already, good on him. Elton John is trying his hardest to muster up some shits to give. Serena is talking about all the shit Meghan won't be allowed to do anymore, while David Beckham just wants a whiskey. And this conductor is looking at his watch because he's running out of songs to play already. Oh, there's Harry and his brother William. Fuck yes.
He'd been scheduled to join us for the evening, but like Meg's father, he'd cancelled last minute. The business with Meg's father, Kate and the dress, better not to talk about it. Another sore subject. I'd always believed, despite our problems, that our underlying bond was strong.
It's a little nervous touch to the head there.
His alarming baldness more advanced than my own. His famous resemblance to Mummy, which was fading with time, with age. In some ways, he was my mirror. In some ways, he was my opposite. My beloved brother, my arch nemesis. How had that happened?
Knowing what we do know now, it does make me wonder, is William's reservations coming through about this wedding? Perhaps that Harry was making a mistake.
He had already warned me not to do it. It's too fast, he told me. Too soon. In fact, he'd actually been pretty discouraging about me even dating Meg.
Meghan then starts to relive her wedding day.
Funny as that to say, when we got to the castle for my wedding, this was a 15-minute drive. I think my mom and her both like, what is going on? Look at all these people.
Meghan loved every moment of the spotlight being on her. She loved it so much that she kicked her mother out of the car before she arrived to the church.
Yes, Doria was actually asked to remove herself to go into the church, not alongside her daughter, which would have been lovely, not to allow her mother walk beside her daughter, which would have been very modern day and feminist of Meghan. No. She was packed off, so she was sitting way down in the pews so Meghan could have her moment.
When you look back at that footage and you see Doria as the only family member, she cut such a lonely figure, not having any family support there at all.
Well, yes, we've got to remember another thing about it. Meghan's mother deserted her when she was 2 years old.
Meanwhile, back outside, who do we have here? The Queen is in the house, the grandparents have arrived, and they look fucking badass. The Queen is never late, nor is she early. She arrives precisely when she means to.
So the scene is set.
Prince Philip, it turns out, couldn't believe that Meghan Markle couldn't rummage up any family, and actually apparently had a word with her about it. But he was told no, there was nobody that wanted to come, and he felt that this was very strange. Her Majesty the Queen found this incredible, that this was going to be the situation. How could you possibly have no family members other than your mother? Apparently this was brought up at that meeting to Doria, who very quickly said, I'm leaving all of that to Harry and Meghan. It's nothing to do with me. So again, the Queen thought this was odd because she said, well, do you have a sister you'd like to maybe bring along and sit alongside you? I'd hate to think if you're sitting there all alone, there's going to be all of us, nobody with you. No.
What thoughts must be passing through this mum's mind?
But Jessica Mulroney, she's a stylist, she's an expert in bridal wear.
She's the power behind the
She
throne,
is. Well,
not the official wedding planner, but she really has put her stamp on it.
I was told they've been on the phone endlessly. If Meghan has a question, if she needs some advice, straight on the phone to Jessica.
Okay, I have a scoop for
She's been a really good friend.
Ex-best friend.
Yes,
they're no longer speaking, are they?
Wedding watchers took notice of Mulroney's Pippa moment when she, along with the Duchess of Cambridge, guided Markle's young bridesmaids and groomsmen into the church. Chances are we haven't heard the last of Jessica Mulroney.
And here she is the car. Here she is. Here she is.
Here we go. And that car, the Rolls-Royce Phantom, was built and delivered in 1950. It was Her Majesty the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh's first Rolls-Royce. A lovely gesture. She'd said to the royal couple, what would you like to use from our royal fleet?
Some are saying that the Rolls-Royce that ferried Meghan Markle to the chapel on her wedding day may have been chosen in poor taste. The luxury Phantom 4 was used 46 years prior by a fellow American, will forever be known as the woman who rocked the royals and plunged the monarchy into crisis.
And apparently Meghan loved this. She absolutely was delighted with this idea, but she let slip that actually she knew quite a lot about Wallis Simpson. Apparently they taught about her in school and she'd read tons of books about Wallis and what she'd done. And how can you know that much about Wallis Simpson but not know who Prince Harry is?
She seemed to know almost nothing. So refreshing.
The same luxury Phantom 4 that took the new Duchess of Sussex to St. George's Chapel for her royal wedding took U.S. divorcee Wallis Simpson to her husband's funeral in 1972.
And there's the bride.
She arrived at the chapel on time.
It's down to the second. I am just shocked. On the button. She was 4 seconds late.
That's lovely. 2 little page boys travelling with the bride are the sons of her best friend Jessica Mulroney. What a place in history they have.
We have all seen this before, where Meghan smacks away the hand of this guy.
Hand and don't need you anymore, slap it away.
My God, he even looks surprised.
10 out of 10 dismount from the car.
Whoa, she looks like something out of Charles Dickens' novel. This is exactly why Meghan wanted to walk up the aisle by herself. She wanted to make sure she had the attention on her, not the bridesmaids.
With her father a no-show, speculation about who would walk Meghan down the aisle went from the obvious, her mother Doria Ragland, to the ridiculous, hunky Harvey Specter from her TV show Suits.
I mean, she could have named someone, you'd think.
Apparently at this point, it was, well, shall we say, decided that maybe Doria would walk down her daughter. That apparently Doria thought that was going to be happening because that was the conversation that she had with Her Majesty the Queen. And then, of course, what happened behind the scenes was that Meghan thought, no, there's bigger fish to fry here.
This little man stole the show.
Now, if you look at this photograph from the wedding itself, in some ways, William looks even more serious than the groom. I mean, he's looking down the aisle at Meghan's arrival. But again, you do wonder what was going through William's head at that point.
I stood at the altar, watched Meg floating towards me.
My favorite part was when she walked in and you could see Harry's face and like how he was like wiping away tears, and I thought that was like the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
During the midweek drama about whether her father Tom would be well enough, people asked, why can't a modern bride walk down the aisle alone? Well, she can.
Harry's dad is very charming.
She is so disrespectful. She can't even call the man by his proper title.
And I said to him, like, I've lost my dad in this.
She didn't lose me. I would have always been there for her. I'm there for her now if she wants me.
So, him as my father-in-law was really important to me.
Oh my God. Is that the reason she didn't invite her dad to the wedding? 'Cause it seems to me like she wanted the future King of England to walk her down the aisle.
And then on top of it, she lies.
So I asked him to walk me down the aisle, and he said yes.
In the beginning, Prince Harry talks about how he was grateful for his father stepping up to walk Meghan down the aisle.
I asked him to, and I think he knew it was coming. And he immediately said, yes, of course, I'll do whatever Meghan needs. I'm here to support you.
Charles stepped in against protocols, against tradition, and offered to walk his daughter-in-law down the aisle. And Meghan's first words that she said to him, I'll meet you halfway.
I shot a glance at Pa, who'd walked Meg down the last part of the aisle. Not her father, but special just the same, and she was moved. It didn't make up for her father's behaviour, for how the press had used him.
Meanwhile, Thomas was stuck back in, LA suffering with a broken heart. He had some clogged arteries. He would have never missed it on his own doing. His heart kept him from going.
This was the moment Meghan Markle's father missed out on, walking his daughter down the aisle.
I can't think of a better replacement than someone like Prince Charles. He looked very handsome, and my daughter looked beautiful with him. I was jealous. I wish I had been there. I wish it had been me. But thank God he was there, and thank him for that.
Markle watched the ceremony from California. He hasn't met his son-in-law yet.
Interestingly, the Queen didn't really approve of this, that she felt uncomfortable with it. I suspect it was just because the Queen felt that it should be Meghan's father who took that role, or no one, I guess.
Indeed, as Meg came nearer and nearer, I was giving thanks for all my choices. The present dissolved, the past came rushing back. Our first tentative messages on Instagram, our first meeting at Soho House, our first trip to Botswana, our first roast chicken.
What was great for your head when you saw her coming?
Look at me, look what I got.
Oh my gosh.
Look what I found.
I don't mean to be a bastard, but you're literally a Prince of England, and what you'd got was an at best D-list actress, divorcee approaching 40. That does make me sound like a bastard. I'm just saying, you could have had your pick. What a catch.
When we were actually at the altar, it was, as far as I was concerned, it was just the two of us.
If looks can kill.
Harry is saying all the cliche things here. How was the car ride? Your dress looks fantastic. I cannot wait to rip it off with me fucking teeth later.
I am required to ask anyone present who knows a reason why these persons may not lawfully marry to declare it now.
The celebrant starts talking about how serious marriage is.
I want you to put your hands together and welcome him to the stage. Big round of applause for Jackson Heights' own Mr. Randy Watson. Yes!
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful love. Give yourselves a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely. I'd like to give a big round of applause to my band, Sexual Chocolate. Sexual Chocolate. I believe the children are our future. Thank you. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Because the greatest love of all inside of me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sexy Chocolate.
This picture was taken during the sermon, which was given by Bishop Michael Curry, and he gave a very vivid sermon on the power of love was his theme, but it did go on a bit.
The late Dr. Martin Luther King once said, and I quote, "We must discover the power of love, and when we do that, we will make of this old world a new world." I'm talking about some power. Real power. If you don't believe me, think about a time when you first fell in love. The whole world seemed to center around you and your beloved. When you are loved and you know it, when someone cares for you and you know it, when you love and you show it, it actually makes it possible for us to text and tweet and email and Instagram and Facebook and socially be dysfunctional with each other.
Rick Hoffman from Suits claims that there was a foul smell at Harry and Meghan's wedding. I have so much to talk about with this. Let me just first off say he's taking a dig at the royal family because remember there was a row about allegedly Meghan wanted to plug a Glade Fresh whatever in the church and the Queen was like, no.
When you walk into the chapel, the smell of roses and the peonies are the bride's favourite. One is called Madame Claude and one very aptly called Duchess.
We get into the church and I had that awful moment. If you type in my name on Google, you see my face making that awful face.
Yeah, okay, yes.
And then as time goes on, I'm starting to smell something really terrible and foul. that somebody has terrible breath, but it was more than one person.
He switched this story a couple years ago, but now he switched it to the whole place stunk. I'm sorry, but your story stinks. And whatever it is, it's ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, I just looked up and saw this wedding dress again. Whew, I wouldn't be focused on the smell. I'd be focused on the horrible cut of that dress.
You might have to call her Royal Highness from now on.
I had said that to her a long time ago, and I'm going to show you my bow. Ready? This is
I want to
really
see it. I want to see it.
Madam. Remember, you have to always say madam. So I'm just going to do it again for you. Ready?
And I'll curtsy at the center, right?
Madam. Is that not the most goofy thing you've ever seen in your life?
No, I think that was
to
that
the
was
Queen,
beautiful.
I'm doing it. Madam.
I'm glad you're getting your
Let's take a
practice in
poll.
here.
Who thinks I'm an idiot?
No, I think that was fantastic.
The camera guy thinks I'm. There we go.
Thank you so much for joining us
Oh,
here
please,
on Your
it's
Morning.
a pleasure.
Were you aware that a fly landed on Meghan's face that day and just kind of hung out there? It was not swatted away. Does that freak you out like it does me?
Yeah, I was not aware of this at all. I mean, literally my first thought, if you've seen the original Terminator movie, that's a scene they use to illustrate that he's a robot. A fly lands on his face and he doesn't react. And it's like, oh no, he's a robot.
Harry and Meghan, the vows you are about to take are to be made in the presence of God.
Our love is like two streams flowing separately down a mountainside. But today, our streams have joined to form one mighty river. Wider, stronger, more impactful.
Baked beans, cornflakes, lager, bogro.
Till death us do part.
Till death us do part.
And bing bada boom, Bob's your uncle, too easy, they are married.
The world welcomed Prince and Princess Henry of Wales, the new Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
The public may not know everything, but the Queen knew everything. You only need to look at her expression during that wedding. She had a face like thunder, and so did Prince Philip.
The photograph that really stands out for me was that moment when Harry was holding her hand after the wedding and she came out onto the steps. That is when Meghan's mask slipped. That was not the sweet, shy girl that she had, the image that she had portrayed. That smirk, those eyes, that was success. That is what is known as duper's delight.
And there's the kiss. That's what we've all been waiting for. Let's not lie.
Of course, we now know that all was not well behind the scenes with Harry and Meghan and the royal family, but it was a very, very happy day.
They jump in an Uber and head off to take a quick break before going to the reception. Fuck yes to the royal wedding. Fuck yes.
My favorite rom-com of all time is When Harry Met Sally, but he put Julia Roberts in anything, and I'm going to be a fan of those too.
The couple hired Alexei Lubomirsky, who also shot their engagement photos.
Shooting with Julia is always the most warm and cozy feeling. She comes with her team that she always works with.
One of my favorite looks on Julia Roberts, a lot of wind and it's a lot of hair all over.
You know, we had heard she wanted to look like herself.
You know, there was the tiara, there's the veil. It was also about her looking like herself.
However, Markle's usual face-framing layers began to stray as the ceremony proceeded, covering her forehead and poking out from behind her ears. Let's just say Twitter freaked out. One user wrote, "Meghan Markle's hair is coming undone and I want to jump into the TV screen and fix it."
I hate the hair. The hair was just a mess. It could have been really beautiful with the tiara and Don't even get me started on that stupid veil. That stupid veil.
So then after the ceremony, they show us photos of the reception at St. George's Hall. And then you see Meghan. Then we see Doria singing to Uncle Elton, who was on the piano playing. Then you have the Queen keeping a close eye on Harry's wife so she doesn't run out of the place with the silverware. Catherine looking lovely as ever, and notably missing William.
I just really wanted the music to be fun. Even our first dance, Song of a Thousand Dances, a Thousand... I always get it wrong.
She doesn't know what the name of it is.
The Winnipeg Drummers playing the March of a Thousand Farts, as is traditional for the Canadian royal family.
And there were more rows to come at the wedding reception. Harry and Meghan were furious that
William and Kate switched place cards and changed seats at our wedding. They insisted it wasn't them.
whatever the truth of it, what should have been a happy day turned into rows, and it marked a new low in the relationship between the two couples.
Hear ye! Prince Harry's fiancée, Meghan Markle, our girl, is reportedly going to break royal tradition and make a speech at her upcoming wedding this spring. Wow, right? Wow. Insiders say this would be a first, since it's normally the father of the bride, groom, and best man who gives speeches.
I said, I'd like to make a little speech. I've been writing a little speech. And Harry said that you might want to talk to Meghan about that. I think she wants to make a speech.
Let's call this a modern fairy tale. Once upon a time, there was a girl from LA. Some people called her an actress.
When will this finish?
And there was a guy from London. Some people called him a prince.
Did they really? I mean, can we just go through the whole wedding again? It's not like we didn't experience it the first time.
All of those people didn't fully get it because this is the love story of a boy and girl who were meant to be together. It is super cringy to be in your mid to late 30s and calling each other boy and girl first off.
Meghan Markle lies regularly, more than most people, about a lot. Yes, you can go back to the Oprah interview for many examples. She and Harry secretly married 3 days before their actual wedding. No.
Did they have a secret wedding 3 days before their actual wedding? Here's Meghan making the claim.
3 days before our wedding, we got married. No one knows that.
If you look at the footage, you can see he looks down the moment she says it, and Oprah looks at him to validate it and confirm, but he won't. And I called that out on Twitter because no, they didn't get married 3 days before the event. And it looks to me like he knows that she's lying, but he doesn't want to call her out because that's his missus at the end of the day. And he's a loyal chap, rightly so.
No one knows that, but we called the Archbishop and we just said, look, this thing, this spectacle is for the world, but we want our union between us.
And not only that, but she, like I said, she made it seem like Oprah, that whole big wedding ceremony, it wasn't really me, it was all performative, blah, 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 blah. And then the tune completely changes in this documentary, and she loved the big ceremony. She loved it, and she was so overwhelmed by the love and the support. And so I'm like, what? Huh?
So like the vows that we have framed in our room are just the two of us in our backyard with the Archbishop of Canterbury, and that was the piece that...
Just the three of us.
Just
the three of us.
Just the three of us.
And he goes all embarrassed and starts singing. But yeah, we know she didn't get married 3 days before the wedding because A, that's illegal in this country. She might not have known that. You can't get married twice. You can't have two legal ceremonies. The legal ceremony was the one we saw on the Saturday. We saw the paperwork. It's public record. The Archbishop of Canterbury confirmed that. So they might have had a rehearsal, but that's about it. They certainly didn't get married, and that's not what she said.
Just the two of us in our backyard with the Archbishop of Canterbury, and that was the piece that...
Just the three of us.
Just
the three of us.
Just the three of us.
Now the Archbishop is sharing his side of the story, telling the Italian newspaper La Repubblica, quote, I met the Duke and Duchess of Sussex several times in a private and pastoral setting before the official ceremony on Saturday, May 19th, 2018. That day was the day of the marriage. If I had signed the certificate on a different day, I would have been committing a serious crime.
Pressure is growing on the Archbishop of Canterbury to resign over the alleged cover-up of a sadistic child sex abuser.
Three days before the big fanfare £32 million taxpayer-funded wedding. They wanted the wedding just for them. And the actual real taxpayer-funded huge fanfare wedding was for us, plebs of the UK. What on earth makes you think that the taxpayers wanted £32 million that could be going towards the NHS to go on your second wedding?
Never mind that Harry's cousin, Princess Beatrice, quietly wed her husband in a private service in Windsor 2 years later. So privately, in fact, that they had to announce to the world that it even had happened.
Everyone loved Charles and Camilla's wedding. You know, Princess Anne got married down key for her second wedding. But no, they had to spend more money than Catherine and William. So for Meghan to be sitting there saying, oh, we just did it for the plebs,